On Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz passed House Bill 1989 into law. Also called the Taylor Swift Bill, this aims to tackle hidden fees and scalper bots. And this follows similar laws that were passed by California, Massachusetts, Texas, and New York. And all of this comes after the 2022 Ticketmaster Meltdown, where they released tickets for Taylor Swift's 2023 Eras Tour, and subsequently the site crashed by unprecedented demand, and people were forced to wait in queues for hours even though they weren't moving anywhere, and this eventually led the site to cancel ticket sales. However, before the site actually crashed, about 2.5 million tickets were actually sold, which was still a record for the site, and so those are mostly purchased by scalper bots who then resold them at exorbitant prices. And so people became so frustrated that they actually found cheaper tickets to go to Taylor Swift's European version of her tour, which, there was also some similar controversies in Europe as well, but it just points out to you how flawed Ticketmaster's process was for the specific Taylor Swift concert series. Now, this whole Ticketmaster meltdown led the Senate Judiciary Committee to have a hearing in January 2023, where members of Congress called for Ticketmaster to be broken up. Most recently, their merger with Live Nation had been approved several years ago. They called to break that up. They said that Ticketmaster was a monopoly. They were antitrust, and fans were actually suing for similar reasons. And those lawsuits are still playing out. And so after all of the scrutiny from this highly publicized event, the Biden administration actually tried to pass their own rules to ban hidden fees and junk fees, although this was targeted more towards a broader sector of industries, not just live events. So specifically, the FTC was going after live events, car rentals, hotels, and a host of other sectors. And I remember reading an article about when this came out, and I've purchased tickets since then, and I feel like I've seen no change. I mean, when I go on one of these websites, I go to the site, I click on the ticket that I want, I go to checkout, and then all these other fees are still added. So I feel like nothing's really changed. Now, the Minnesota law specifically bans reselling of tickets before they become publicly available, and it also limits resellers to one ticket. Now, that I find kind of confusing, because I would have to read the legislation to understand definitions here, because I think that's going to be really important in understanding what's actually going on here. Because say you're a father of 4, you bought tickets for your family to go to a Taylor Swift concert, and for some reason you can't go, and now you want to resell the tickets. Well, can you only resell one of those tickets? I mean, I think you should be able to sell all 4. I think you should be able to sell all 4 at any time and anywhere, any place you want to resell them. So what is considered one copy of a ticket? If I'm one person and I buy 4 separate tickets, are those tickets considered copies? Or are we talking about where venues specifically oversell an event because they want to make sure they meet capacity? Is that what's considered a copy of more than one ticket? I don't know. Even ignoring that, let's talk about what the definition of a reseller is. So a father of 4, like I said in our scenario, is he considered a reseller under these rules? So is he going to be limited to how and when he can resell his tickets? Or is a reseller like large-scale reselling, these scalper bots and other like professional companies who actually go out and buy thousands of tickets to resell on their own websites for profit? Is that considered a reseller? And then what's considered like the margin? Because you also have like group sales for like fundraising or private events. I mean, is that considered a reseller? Like, once again, we have to dive into what exactly the definitions are. Now, when the Biden administration first proposed these rules, like I said, 8 months ago or so, they touted 2 things. They touted how they had just implemented similar rules with airlines, and they also praised Airbnb for instituting their own policy around hidden fees. And, personally, I have not booked an Airbnb myself, but I've used Airbnb when my friends have booked Airbnbs. And, my biggest gripe about it, or even like the reason I was so hesitant to even use it, and why I haven't used it really at all, is that I've looked at it, I've compared it to hotels, and it's like, oh my gosh, I click on this one place, and it's like $40 a night. Well, that's way better than a hotel, right? And I click on it, and it's like, if you stay this many nights, you're charged this fee. If you only stay one night, you're charged this fee. If you don't put the sheets in before you leave, you're charged this fee. It's like the customization that the people who have the properties, the level of customization they have in terms of the fees they can apply is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. And whatever policy the Biden administration is, touting that they did on their own, I'm not seeing it. To me, the point of Airbnb was to be a less expensive, more convenient way to stay when you travel. And to me, it's been anything but. Like I said, you have all these fees. It's honestly more expensive because you have to think about it as well. Is that it's one thing to rent out a room, but the vast majority of Airbnbs are like you're renting the whole house, or you're renting a unit of a larger building where you have your own private space. And like, how is that more efficient compared to a hotel where you have your own room, but it's a much smaller area, so that a hotel can be more efficient in terms of pricing and they can have a more efficient use of resources. So there's that aspect of it. But it's also like with a hotel, you typically know what you're getting. And as someone who travels for work, travels, not as often for leisure, but like when I go to a hotel, like I want no surprises. So if I use a hotel, I have a really solid understanding of what I'm going to get when I get to my room. And if there's an issue, all I have to do is go down to the front desk. They either get me a new room, rarely do I need a refund and I move on, or they even solve my problem. But with Airbnb, if you show up and there's an issue, you're at the mercy of either a chat, or you get on the phone and you have to hope that somebody picks up. And if you're someone like me who typically arrives pretty late to their hotel or wherever they're staying, you're at the mercy that they're going to be available at that hour. So, I don't like Airbnb. I think now Airbnb and some of their competitors are focusing more on experience-driven travel, not so much the people who just travel regularly, which to me is to their advantage, and that's kind of their niche, because a hotel is very cut and dry. You get a room, a place to sleep, a place to shower, a place to park. That's probably the other big one, and you move on. Versus, I think Airbnb has a little bit more opportunity to focus on the experience perspective, but it's so little of travel. So I'm surprised that Airbnb is finding some level of success there. To me, as a consumer, it's not an appealing product, but that's also just my bias. Now, even besides Airbnb, I've rented hotels as well. I've rented cars, and it's the same deal. I go to select the room, I go to select the car, and when I go to check out, there's all these other fees that are still added. So whatever rules, like I said, that the Biden administration has tried, I don't see them working. Now, going back to this Minnesota law and this whole Taylor Swift ticket controversy, do I think that these laws are going to work? Well, like I said, it sort of depends on what the definitions are. But there's also this question about how are you going to enforce this, especially if there's a gray area around what is considered a reseller, or like what is considered a copy of a ticket, or how many tickets can you buy before you're considered a reseller. Like, those are all questions that need to be answered. And to me, regulation is really never the answer. I don't find regulation to be effective. What I find to be more effective than regulation is actually increasing supply, increasing competition. And so what I find shocking is that you have Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, StubHub. Those are the three big ones. Maybe there's another one that I'm missing, or there's smaller ones. But like, there's competition in the industry already. So like, why are consumers having to settle for such lackluster product? But it also goes back to the whole, like, what is the business model of these companies? Like, not just with tickets, but like across tech as a whole, the money is in being the marketplace. It's not in the individual product. Like, they're not making money off the tickets themselves. They have to make money off the ancillary aspects of it, so the transactions. To me, as a consumer, I should be able to buy, sell, resell, or do anything with the ticket at any time, and I should be able to do it anywhere that I want. I should not be confined to Ticketmaster for whatever I do with the ticket. I should be able to sell it on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, wherever. I should not be confined to that one site. But then again, it goes back to this whole marketplace, and these companies have to keep you on their platform in order for them to make money. And so it's a whole flaw really within the business model, not necessarily within Ticketmaster itself. Like I said, I'm not really a fan of regulation, but you do have to sort of create more rights for consumers within this industry, or find a way, maybe an innovative company can find a way to make money around this whole product without having to be over the top in terms of the fees and the rules, limiting what a customer can do with their ticket. And the fact that you can't resell certain tickets is dumb. And the other thing that's dumb, this is we've accepted this across a lot of different industries, namely airlines, is like the timing of buying. Like the fact that I buy a ticket today and it's going to cost different than what the ticket costs tomorrow, I think that's dumb. Like, if I buy a ticket now, it should be the same price tomorrow, the day before. Now that is from the first source that I bought the ticket from. A resell that can be different. I can understand if that gets to be, the price goes up because it's supply and demand. But when I first buy the ticket, the venue should only be able to charge, the same price for all tickets at the initial sale. And I also don't like the idea of banning scalpers. I think you should design the product or the business model in a way where there's just no way for scalpers to make money. I think that is really how you eliminate that problem. And the only way you do it is by increasing freedom and the rights of consumers. And it is primarily done, like I said, through competition, through increasing supply. So I'm not sure if there's any, what some of these other existing companies are able to do. But like I said, maybe there's someone else who can come along and figure this out. I don't buy a lot of tickets, so this is not something that I'm passionate about or really follow all that closely. It's not something that I can really speak to what the solution is. All I can say is it's frustrating. I feel like nothing has changed. I'm not sure going forward what has changed with regards to the way Taylor Swift sells her tickets now. Anyway, that's all I want to cover in this video. I hope this was an interesting elaboration on this topic. Thank you for watching.